Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts, Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
All right, so what moldy lump of archaic anime have we scraped off the back of the fridge today?
Hey man, this one ain't so moldy. It's Black Magic M-66 from Masamune Shirow.
Nothing moldy about Shiro.
Yeah, that's right, man. The man who invented Ghost in the Shell. So the director,
the king of cyberpunk, really.
For Japan.
For Japan, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some earlier stuff, but yeah,
He's the most prolific.
he definitely popularized that style for sure. All right, so who directed it? Because it was not Shiro. Not much of a director, Masamune Shirow.
Nah.
Hiroyuki Kitakubo. So he did A Piece of Robot Carnival, Tale of Two Robots.
Matt, keeps coming up.
Robot Carnival keeps coming up. We got to do it sometime. Rujan Z, Golden Boy, Blood the Last Vampire.
Ooh.
And the first 6 episodes of the original JoJo's OVA. He also was the key animator for Akira. So
Really? Well,
kind
there
of
you
interesting career.
go. Yeah, not bad. I'd hang my hat on that.
Yeah, so not super prolific, but some interesting stuff in there. Masamune Shirow, obviously, Ghost in the Shell, Appleseed, another one, Dominion, Orion. Yeah, it's Masamune Shirow. Let's see. The animation studio is AIC once again. They did Gaiarth. They did Godaner. They did Oh My Goddess. They did Pumpkin Scissors, Lotus War TV, Tenchi Muyo.
On and on.
On and on. So anyway, what goes on in Black Magic M-66?
All kind of stuff.
So it starts off with I call it a helicopter. It's like a hover.
That thing is the most Shiro design ever, though, right?
It really is.
Everything has freaking rabbit
So
ears.
you would think everything is in the same universe with Shiro. It's not.
Because it all looks like it is.
But he's got very similar design language and everything.
You know it's him immediately, though.
Yeah, I would say like Ghost in the Shell is his most cyberpunky.
Definitely.
And the other ones are a little less so. But anyway, so 2 sarcophagi fall out of this thing, and apparently they're carrying killer robots, killer androids.
Oh, there was actually more. There was actually like 4.
Yeah, there were only 2 that were.
They only, like, the first scene, they only showed 2, but there were, like, more later. But
Yeah.
whatever.
Regardless, we then cut to a character design that looks a lot like the Major, Sybil. And
Yeah.
she's running around her apartment naked and running outside of her apartment
Is there
naked.
one of these that we haven't watched yet that doesn't have, like, chick jumping out of the shower and doing a bunch of work, like, either in a towel or in nothing or whatever?
It was the thing at the time.
It really was.
It was the style at the time.
Kinda funny.
So then you get a military deployment. Guys come down from their hover carrier on single wires. It's kind of interesting. It looks like an acrobat show or something.
Yeah, it is.
But anyway, they come down and they're checking out the site and they're like, oh God, there's, super top secret murder robots that escaped here. So that's not a good thing. Sybil and she goes and picks up her friend Leaky. I don't know about that name, but
It's her cameraman.
yeah, her cameraman, and they go and film this, and then, they eventually get caught, of course.
They're investigative reporters, by
Yep.
the way. I don't know if you mentioned that.
I did not. It takes a while for them to even get to that in the OVA. Not that there's much time in the OVA anyway. And then the last thing I'll mention about it is they cut to another scene where randomly one of the professors who created the robot's granddaughter is just wandering around in a bikini
In the most fan servicey bikini.
Yeah, it's like, okay, sure, whatever, Japan. And so I lied. The real last thing I'll say is that the rest of it, I'm not going to rehash it because it basically becomes Terminator at that point.
More or less, yeah.
The robot gets set on the granddaughter, and then there's a lot of, trying to save the granddaughter from the robot, which is what Sybil is trying to do. So that's basically Black Magic M-66. I mean, I could talk more about it, but I'd probably give away the entirety of it because it's
only like 40 minutes.
It's very short.
It's Shiro light.
Yeah, and I like it.
It's like just a taste of everything he does. Which is good. It was, God, for 40 minutes, really good. When I was watching it, I thought to myself, if you padded this out with a little more like character development, it would make an amazing like live action movie. Wouldn't it?
It's got because it's the Terminator. If you literally inserted the slow parts from the Terminator, the downtime with the character development, it would be better, but it would become a direct ripoff of the Terminator.
It's different enough.
Which is interesting because
I take more Terminator ripoffs.
The manga is not like this. It's got a lot of the same design elements. I've never read it, but looking into it, this plot is not from the manga. Like the manga has just a different plot.
Yeah, it's just they wanted to do the Terminator.
So the manga, because the manga came out before the Terminator, but this OVA came out after. It came out in 87.
It was tainted by the Terminator.
So it's clear that that's the way they wanted to go with this, which is fine.
Almost every one of these ones we watched has had some nod to like Predator or Terminator or
80s.
This is all Arnold movies,
American, 80s American action movies had a big influence in Japan for sure.
I believe it.
All right, so what did you like about Black Magic M-66?
Like I said, Shirow Light. It's got everything he does well. I love the designs.
Yeah.
Like
I gotta
his
say
designs
the
are
same.
some of my favorite.
That was
ever.
my top of the list here too. Like,
so good.
I
love how
his designs.
the robots were. I like that they look like automatons, kind of like they were like basically
they look like dolls. They look kind of like the marionettes on strings.
Yeah, like super creepy. It made them just more creepy.
And they moved really. That was another one I had. They moved really creepy.
Oh yeah, they were all
that.
like clockwork, like.
Yeah, and they would, they do the weird bend over backwards stuff, and just all sorts of moves that a human would never do. But if it's a robot, hey, why not? Right?
It's funny at the beginning because Shirow is always most of his stuff is in cities and it's very cyberpunky, but like it felt like a Pat Labor OVA at the beginning because they were like fighting in the woods.
Yeah, well, without the Helldivers.
But you know how Pat Labor does that?
Yeah.
Like they're always like on the side of some mountain somewhere out in the woods, like fighting some runaway robot. It just had that feel to it, like Oshi stuck in the back door. And was like, hey, you should do this on the side of a mountain.
Yeah, probably get sick of drawing cities.
Right. But then like the second half, it had more of a Shirow feel. You know, it had
once they got into the city.
The city was classic, like cyberpunk.
It was very Appleseed, the city, to me.
It was funny
more
that,
so than Ghost in the Shell.
What is that chick's name? Sybil, yeah. It was funny how she was kind of the main character, but not. Like, she did almost nothing. She was just there to, like, kind of, like, narrate. Not really narrate, but just narrate by being there, kind of. Like...
Yeah, I mean,
was
I don't know. She did save Ferris, the daughter.
Yeah, but that was like that end scene was really great. Reminded me of Die Hard, didn't it?
Yeah, well, we won't. No spoilers there.
It had a Die Hard feel, is all I'm saying.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
When you watch it, you'll know.
Although, I don't. This was probably made before that, so I don't know that there was any direct influence there.
Probably not, but it just
it had a similar feel though, because they were on the top of a building, same kind of idea.
Had those Die Hard steams. Why do both chicks know how to like handle machine guns like randomly?
That was interesting.
I'm a reporter, and I'm some like guys like pampered
professors.
granddaughters.
I mean, the professor was doing work for the military, but why?
Like, they got like M16s, like
who knows?
Totally hosing down an android.
I guess I also liked that they still had like the giant cameras and stuff.
Yeah,
it's 80s. They didn't know, like, you have little smartphones, digital cameras or whatever.
Oh, yeah. It was one of those old like VHS camcorders where they were like
big,
so big,
right? It was very, very interesting.
My mom had one of those when I was like a kid. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah.
We're aligned there, pretty much there.
Yeah. It's the best 40 minutes you'll spend, like...
This side of Bow,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't think I liked it more than Bow, but I liked it a lot. And, honestly, I'd ask you what you dislike about it, but I didn't dislike anything about it, really.
There's nothing. Like, I have no complaints about it. It was, like, paced really good. It was put together well. You always knew what was happening. There were no real giant plot holes where I was like, why the F is this happening? You know what I mean?
And unlike something like Plastic Little, like, yeah, you could have had some more character moments, but it didn't need them. Like, it wasn't trying to do as much as something like Plastic Little. It was much more straightforward.
Well, that's what I meant about, like,
So
Sybil didn't
easier.
feel like the main character because everything was so streamlined. It was just like, bam, stuff's happening. It was action, 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 action.
She wasn't much of a character. I mean, tell me 2 of her character traits, right? Like, it's...
She's a jerk.
And she runs around naked. Like, you know what I mean? There's not much there. She does seem to have a protective instinct for Ferris, so that is something.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like a good character moment.
And once again, more women in anime being badass without being woke. So
yeah.
Yes, it can be done, people. You just have to look to Japan, I guess.
Oh, God, it used to happen all the time. People forget that, like, stuff existed before 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, when that was, like, a standard thing in sci-fi and, like, nobody freaked out about it.
Yep. It was
just normal.
So I'm assuming this is a recommend from you?
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah. I recommend it, too. It's short. It's 40-something minutes.
Yeah. And if you've never seen any Masamune Shirow stuff, it's like a great intro.
Well, crawl out from under your rock, because if you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, go watch Ghost in the Shell first, at least the first movie.
There are people out there that have never seen it, I swear to God.
Oh, I'm sure there have. But if you're interested in Shiro,
hey, remember
go watch Ghost in the Shell
when
first.
we went to see Ghost and that kid didn't know who Tool was?
I know.
It happened.
Yeah.
People live under rocks.
Fair.
At any rate, go watch it. Tell us what you think of it. Until next time, we're out.
Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.